My beloved brothers and sisters, much of our suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from how much we fight what Allah has already written. We resist change, we resist loss, we resist the lessons hidden inside hardship. And in that resistance, our hearts grow heavy, restless and exhausted. The moment you stop arguing with life and start trusting Allah's plan, something remarkable happens. Your heart softens, your mind quiets, and peace begins to settle within you. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is faith. It is believing that Allah's wisdom is greater than your understanding and His plan is kinder than your fears. So let go of the struggle against what you cannot control. Place your trust where it belongs. When you stop resisting life and surrender your heart to Allah, peace appears gently, quietly and powerfully. Resistance creates pain, acceptance creates peace. When you reflect deeply on your own life, you will notice that most of the pain you carry did not begin with the event itself, but with your resistance to it. The heart becomes heavy when it says, this should not have happened, or my life was supposed to be different. That silent argument with destiny is where the suffering grows. The event may have passed in a moment, but the resistance remains alive for months, sometimes years. Allah teaches us that nothing touches us except what He has written, yet the human heart struggles when it clings to control. Acceptance does not mean you enjoy the hardship, it means you stop fighting the wisdom behind it. The moment you allow your heart to bow before Allah's decree, something extraordinary occurs. Your chest loosens, your breath becomes lighter, the storm inside begins to settle. Resistance exhausts the soul because it demands a world that does not exist. Acceptance gives peace because it allows the heart to live in the world Allah has chosen for it. And when the heart lives where Allah placed it, tranquility begins to flow. You see, when a person resists reality, they are not resisting circumstances. They are resisting Allah's wisdom, even if they do not realize it. They keep asking why, instead of asking what lesson is hidden here. They replay the moment that broke them again and again, hoping it will change by repetition. But life does not rewrite itself for those who refuse to move forward. Allah did not promise us a life free of difficulty. He promised us His nearness within it. Resistance blinds the heart to this nearness. It convinces the soul that peace exists somewhere else, in another life, another outcome, another version of the past. Acceptance brings the heart back home. It says, I may not understand, but I trust. That sentence alone carries enormous healing. Trust dissolves the tension between what is and what we wish had been. When you surrender the argument with destiny, you stop bleeding from invisible wounds. Your heart no longer feels the need to compete with the will of Allah. It rests not because the pain vanished, but because the soul finally stopped running from it. Many people believe acceptance is giving up, but in truth, it is the highest form of strength. To accept is not to be defeated by life, it is to be elevated by faith. A heart that accepts says, my Lord knows better than me. This humility opens doors that resistance keeps locked. When you fight your reality, you imprison your own heart inside anger, regret, and fear. You become exhausted not by the problem, but by the battle you insist on fighting against it. Acceptance ends that war. It allows your energy to return to you. It allows your mind to stop reliving the same suffering. And slowly, peace begins to rebuild what resistance destroyed. Allah did not design your heart to carry endless arguments with fate. He designed it to carry trust. When trust enters, it soothes the parts of you that nothing else could touch. Even when the pain remains, it becomes softer, quieter, easier to carry. And that is the mercy hidden inside acceptance. Look at how children heal faster than adults. They fall, they cry, and then they rise. They do not spend years resisting the fall. As we grow, we begin to collect stories of how life should have been. Those stories become the chains around our hearts. We cling to old expectations, old dreams, old timelines, and when Allah redirects us, we suffer not because of the new path, but because we refuse to release the old one. Acceptance is the moment you loosen your grip. It is the moment you say, Ya Allah, I trust where you are taking me. And when that trust becomes real, your heart stops trembling at every change. The future no longer terrifies you. The past no longer controls you. You become present with Allah in this moment, exactly where He placed you. Peace is not found by escaping life. It is found by embracing the life Allah has written with a heart that trusts His plan more than its own understanding. There are wounds that no medicine can cure, but acceptance heals them from the inside. When someone loses what they love, their pain deepens when they resist the loss. They replay the goodbye, they question the timing, they torture their heart with what if. But when they say, this was Allah's decree, the pain begins to soften. It does not disappear, but it becomes meaningful. It becomes something they can carry without collapsing. Acceptance transforms pain into patience, and patience transforms suffering into strength. This is why Allah repeatedly links patience with reward, because patience is the fruit of acceptance. Without acceptance, patience cannot survive. A resisting heart will always break before it becomes patient. But an accepting heart grows patient naturally, gently, quietly. Over time, that patience becomes light inside the chest, and that light is what people call peace. Not the absence of struggle, but the presence of Allah within the struggle. Sometimes people say, why do I still feel pain even though I accept? Because acceptance is not a switch, it is a journey. It deepens with every test. The heart learns again and again that Allah's wisdom never fails. Each time you surrender, the heart becomes stronger, more anchored, more stable. Resistance weakens the soul, acceptance fortifies it. When storms come, the accepting heart bends but does not break. It whispers, Allah is with me, and that is enough. The resisting heart shatters because it feels alone, abandoned by life. But you were never abandoned. You were being guided, reshaped, refined. Acceptance allows you to see this. It changes the story of your pain from something that happened to you into something that grew you. That shift alone carries extraordinary healing. And in that healing, peace quietly takes root. One of the greatest lies the mind tells is that peace will come after everything is fixed. But Allah teaches us that peace comes when the heart surrenders, even if nothing outside changes. Acceptance does not require perfect conditions. It requires a trusting heart, a heart that says, even this is from Allah. That sentence is heavier than mountains. It carries relief. When you stop demanding that life be different before you allow yourself peace, you finally begin to breathe. Resistance keeps postponing your happiness. Acceptance brings it into the present. You realize that Allah did not place your peace at the end of your struggles. He placed it inside your surrender to Him. The heart that accepts becomes unshakable. It moves through loss without losing itself. It moves through fear without being ruled by it. It walks with Allah through every chapter of life, knowing that every page was written with wisdom. You will notice that the most peaceful people are not those with the easiest lives. They are the ones who have learned to accept Allah's will without bitterness. Their hearts do not rebel against destiny. They do not curse the road when it becomes difficult. They trust the guide who walks with them on that road. Resistance fills the heart with complaints. Acceptance fills it with contentment. Contentment is not about having what you want. It is about wanting what Allah has given you. When that feeling enters the heart, anxiety loses its grip, regret loosens its chains, fear stops shouting, and in that silence the soul finally hears the voice of faith. That is the beginning of peace. Every day Allah invites your heart to rest in Him, but resistance blocks the door. You keep trying to fix what Allah already arranged. You keep replaying what He already closed. You keep fearing what He already controls. Acceptance opens the door. It says, Ya Allah, I am yours and everything in my life is yours. That surrender does not make you weak. It makes you unbreakable. Because when the heart belongs fully to Allah, nothing in this world can truly destroy it. That heart may be wounded, but it will not be defeated. It may grieve, but it will not lose hope. It may fall, but it will rise again, stronger, calmer, steadier. That is the miracle of acceptance. Even your mistakes become lighter when you stop resisting your own past. So many people suffer because they fight who they were instead of learning from who they were. Acceptance does not justify your wrongs, it allows you to grow beyond them. Allah does not want you trapped in yesterday, He wants you walking toward Him today. Resistance keeps you chained to what you cannot change. Acceptance frees you to build what you still can. That freedom is priceless. It lifts a weight that many do not even realize they are carrying. And when that weight is lifted, the heart becomes spacious again. It has room for hope, for faith, for trust, for calm. That is peace returning to where it always belonged. In the end, resistance creates pain because it fights reality. Acceptance creates peace because it aligns with truth. And the greatest truth is that Allah knows, Allah plans, Allah cares. When you allow that truth to settle in your heart, life stops feeling like a battlefield. It becomes a journey of trust. You still face storms, but you are no longer afraid of the sky. You still face losses, but you are no longer empty inside. You still walk through hardship, but you walk with Allah. And when you walk with Allah, no road can ever truly destroy your peace. Allah's plan is always kinder than your fears. Fear is one of the strongest emotions that the human heart carries, and most of that fear comes from imagining a future that Allah has not even written. We worry about loss, failure, loneliness, sickness, and disappointment. But what we often forget is that the one who controls tomorrow is the same one who showed you mercy yesterday. Your fear sees only danger, but Allah's plan sees protection. Your fear sees only the storm, but Allah's plan carries the shelter within it. Many times what you fear the most becomes the very path through which Allah saves you from something far worse. The heart becomes restless when it trusts its own imagination more than it trusts its Creator. But when you slowly replace fear with faith, something beautiful happens. You realize that Allah has never been careless with your life. Every delay, every loss, every unexpected turn was guided by wisdom greater than your understanding. Even when you could not see the purpose, it was already working for your good. When the heart accepts this truth, fear begins to lose its authority. Peace grows where worry once lived. So often we panic because the road ahead looks unclear, forgetting that clarity does not come from seeing the future, it comes from trusting the one who holds it. You do not need to see the full picture for Allah's plan to be perfect. You only need to walk the next step with faith. Fear tells you that if you lose this, you are finished. Allah's plan says that if you lose this, something better is being prepared. Fear says that the door closing means the end. Allah says that the door closing is protection from what you could not see behind it. Many people look back at their lives and realize that the moments they once cried over were the very moments that saved them. At the time, their fear was loud, their hearts were breaking, and their minds were filled with doubt. Yet Allah was already arranging something far more merciful. When this realization settles inside you, your heart becomes calmer. You stop fighting the unknown and start trusting the one who designed it. Your fears are born from limited vision. Allah's plan flows from infinite knowledge. You see only the present moment, but Allah sees your entire life, your akhirah, and every soul you will touch along the way. This is why His decisions may not always make sense to your heart, but they always carry mercy within them. When Allah removes something from your life, He is not punishing you, He is repositioning you. When He delays something you desire, He is not ignoring you, He is protecting you. When He changes your direction, He is not destroying your plans, He is refining them. Fear cannot understand this because fear is built on what you want. Faith is built on who Allah is. The moment you begin to trust His character, His wisdom and His care, your fears slowly loosen their grip. You start to feel safe even when life feels uncertain. That safety is the gift hidden inside surrender. There are nights when fear keeps the heart awake, replaying every possible disaster that could happen tomorrow. But Allah invites you to sleep with trust, because He never sleeps and He never fails to protect what belongs to Him. Your life belongs to Allah, your heart belongs to Allah, your future belongs to Allah. Nothing reaches you without passing through His permission. When you truly understand this, you realize that your fear has been exaggerating its power. Allah's plan is not built on harm, it is built on mercy. Even the pain He allows is a form of guidance. Even the tears you shed are counted and rewarded. Even the trials you endure are shaping you into someone stronger, softer, wiser, and closer to Him. Fear makes you believe you are alone. Allah's plan constantly reminds you that you are being carried. Sometimes Allah allows your plans to fall apart because He is protecting you from the version of life you would have chosen if you knew no better. There are relationships you would have stayed in that would have destroyed your heart. There are opportunities you would have chased that would have drained your soul. There are dreams you would have fulfilled that would have pulled you away from Allah. Fear cries when these things are taken away, but Allah smiles because He knows what is coming next. When the heart finally accepts that Allah's plan is always kinder than its fears, it stops clinging to what was lost and begins opening itself to what is arriving. That is when healing begins. That is when hope returns. That is when peace quietly settles inside the chest. Your fear is loud because it comes from your mind. Allah's plan is gentle because it comes from His mercy. The mind imagines the worst. Allah designs the best. When you start measuring your life by your fears, you will always feel unsafe. But when you measure your life by Allah's promises, you will always find reassurance. He promised that after hardship comes ease. He promised that He is closer than your jugular vein. He promised that He will never burden a soul beyond what it can bear. These are not poetic words. They are guarantees from the Creator of your heart. When fear rises, return to these promises. Let them calm you. Let them remind you that you are never walking into darkness alone. Allah is always ahead of you, preparing light where you cannot yet see. Many people fear change because they are attached to what they know, even if what they know is painful. Allah's plan sometimes removes that familiarity so that you can grow. Growth is uncomfortable. Transformation is unsettling. But everything that grows must pass through a stage of discomfort. Fear interprets that discomfort as danger. Allah knows it is development. This is why trusting His plan requires courage. It requires you to step forward even when your heart is trembling, knowing that the one guiding you is far more reliable than the voice of your fear. With each step you take in faith, your fear weakens and your trust strengthens. Over time, you begin to recognize Allah's kindness even in the moments that once terrified you. Your fear focuses on what could go wrong. Allah's plan focuses on what must go right. You worry about how things will fail. Allah arranges how things will fall into place. You are concerned about the timing. Allah controls the perfect moment. You fear being forgotten. Allah never forgets you. You fear being abandoned. Allah never leaves you. You fear losing everything. Allah promises that whoever relies on Him will never be truly lost. When you replace your fears with this awareness, your heart becomes steady. You still feel emotion, but you are no longer controlled by it. You still face uncertainty, but you are no longer paralyzed by it. That stability is peace growing in your soul. Even when the path becomes heavy and the future feels frightening, remember that Allah did not bring you this far to abandon you now. Every test you face today is connected to a mercy that is coming tomorrow. Your fears do not know what Allah has prepared. Your tears do not know what reward they are collecting. Your struggles do not know what strength they are building, but Allah knows all of it. And His knowledge is never separate from His mercy. This is why His plan is always kinder than your fears. Not sometimes, not eventually, always. When the heart finally accepts this truth, life changes. You stop begging the past to return. You stop demanding the future to arrive. You begin living the present with trust. You walk through difficulty without losing your balance. You move through change without losing your hope. You face tomorrow without losing your faith. That is what happens when the heart rests inside Allah's plan. Fear steps aside. Faith takes its place. And in that space, peace begins to grow. Letting go of control strengthens the heart. The human heart becomes tired, not because life is heavy, but because it tries to carry what only Allah was meant to hold. We attempt to control outcomes, people, timing, and direction, forgetting that we are servants, not the designer of destiny. When the heart insists on managing everything, it weakens under the pressure of impossible responsibility. But when you release that burden and return it to Allah, something remarkable happens. The heart becomes stronger, lighter, and more peaceful. Letting go of control is not surrendering effort, it is surrendering the illusion that everything depends on you. You still strive, you still plan, you still work with excellence, but you no longer torture your heart over what you cannot command. That balance is where true strength is born. A heart that trusts Allah is not fragile. It is firm, rooted, and resilient. Every time you let go of the need to control the future, your heart learns how to breathe again. And with each breath, peace quietly rebuilds what anxiety once destroyed. Many people think control makes them safe, but in reality it traps them in constant fear. The more you try to control, the more you worry about losing that control. The more you worry, the more fragile your heart becomes. Letting go reverses that cycle. When you accept that Allah is managing your life, your heart stops shaking at every change. You realize that nothing in your world is random. Every shift is guided. Every delay is measured. Every door opens and closes with purpose. When the heart understands this, it does not panic when plans collapse. It becomes patient, it becomes steady, it becomes strong. That strength does not come from certainty about the future, but from certainty about Allah. And that certainty is unshakable. Control often disguises itself as responsibility, but there is a difference between being responsible and being anxious. Responsibility means you do your part. Anxiety means you try to do Allah's part as well. Letting go of control is the moment you return what belongs to Allah back to Him. You stop carrying tomorrow before it arrives. You stop punishing your heart over what you cannot fix. You stop forcing life to follow your schedule. And when that release happens, the heart begins to heal. It becomes less tense. It becomes less fearful. It becomes more alive. Strength grows when the heart learns to trust the one who has never failed it. Sometimes Allah shakes your plans to teach you that you were holding them too tightly. He allows things to move so that your heart can learn flexibility, humility, and reliance. A heart that clings too tightly will always suffer more when things change. A heart that holds gently will adjust, adapt, and continue with faith. Letting go of control does not make you passive. It makes you balanced. You work without attachment. You strive without desperation. You hope without panic. This balance is what strengthens the soul. When you stop trying to control how people behave, you free yourself from endless disappointment. When you stop trying to control how life unfolds, you free yourself from constant stress. When you stop trying to control what Allah has already written, you free your heart from silent battles that never end. Letting go gives your heart room to grow. It replaces tension with trust. It replaces fear with faith. Over time, that faith becomes your greatest strength. Your heart becomes stronger when it realizes that Allah is enough. You do not need to understand everything for things to be okay. You do not need to see the whole road to take the next step. You do not need certainty to have peace. You only need Allah. That realization transforms the heart. It makes it steady even in storms. It makes it calm even in uncertainty. It makes it hopeful even in darkness. Many people exhaust themselves trying to prevent pain, but Allah teaches that pain cannot always be avoided, yet it can always be carried with dignity. Letting go of control allows you to meet hardship with patience instead of panic. It allows you to experience grief without losing yourself. It allows you to walk through loss without collapsing. That is strength. That is the heart becoming unbreakable through trust. Every time you let go of control, you place your heart directly in Allah's care, and no heart is safer than the one Allah is protecting. That protection does not mean no tears, it means no destruction. You may bend, but you will not shatter. You may struggle, but you will not be lost. You may fall, but you will rise again. That is the strength Allah builds inside the heart that learns to let go. Letting go of control also teaches the heart humility. You realize that your plans were never the foundation of your life, Allah was. And when your heart accepts this, it stops fighting reality and starts flowing with it. The resistance fades. The tension dissolves. The heart becomes soft yet powerful, gentle yet firm. That is true strength. The strongest hearts are not those that dominate life, but those that surrender to Allah. They move through the world with trust. They respond to hardship with patience. They accept change with grace. They face the unknown with courage. All of that is born from letting go of control and holding on to Allah. In the end, letting go of control does not weaken you. It frees you. And in that freedom, your heart becomes stronger than it has ever been before. Patience turns hardship into healing. Hardship is one of the most misunderstood experiences in the life of a believer. Many assume that pain is a sign of abandonment, but in reality, hardship is often the clearest proof that Allah is shaping your heart. What determines whether that hardship breaks you or heals you is patience. Patience is not silent suffering. It is the quiet decision to trust Allah while the storm is still raging. When you choose patience, you refuse to allow pain to poison your soul. You allow it to teach you, soften you, and strengthen you instead. Every trial carries a lesson, but only a patient heart can receive it. Without patience, hardship becomes bitterness. With patience, it becomes wisdom. With patience, the heart learns endurance. With patience, the soul grows deeper, calmer, more anchored in faith. And slowly, without you even noticing, what once wounded you begins to heal you from the inside. Many people rush to escape hardship, but Allah often uses that very hardship to prepare you for something far greater. Patience keeps the heart open during this preparation. It stops you from closing yourself with anger, fear, or despair. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Patience teaches the heart to ask, what is Allah teaching me through this? That shift alone changes everything. You stop feeling cursed by your circumstances and start recognizing the mercy hidden within them. Even when the pain remains, its meaning transforms. The wound becomes a doorway to growth. The tear becomes a seed of strength, and the heart, instead of shrinking, expands. That expansion is healing in its truest form. When hardship enters your life, your first reaction may be resistance, but patience invites you to remain present, to breathe, to trust. It reminds you that nothing in your life is random and that every trial arrives with divine precision. Your pain is not wasted. Your tears are not ignored. Allah sees every struggle and He rewards every patient moment. With patience, you stop measuring your life by comfort and start measuring it by closeness to Allah. That closeness becomes your refuge. It carries you through nights when the heart feels heavy and days when the road feels long. And in that closeness, healing quietly begins. Patience teaches the heart to stay upright when everything feels like it is collapsing. It does not promise ease, but it promises strength. And strength is what transforms suffering into healing. A patient heart does not deny the pain. It carries the pain with dignity. It walks with Allah through the storm rather than trying to escape it. Over time, that walk becomes a journey of growth. You realize that what once shattered you now stabilizes you. What once frightened you now fortifies you. And what once overwhelmed you now deepens your trust in Allah. That transformation is the gift hidden inside patience. Sometimes the greatest healing happens when you stop demanding the hardship to leave and start allowing it to shape you. Patience teaches the heart that not everything is meant to be fixed immediately. Some wounds must be felt, some lessons must be lived, some changes must unfold slowly, and through that process the soul becomes more grounded, more aware, more at peace. You become less reactive, less fearful, less attached to outcomes. You become more stable, more faithful, more resilient. This is the work patience does inside the heart. Without patience, hardship hardens the heart. With patience, hardship refines it. This is why Allah praises patience so highly. Because patience does not just help you survive trials, it transforms you through them. It shapes your character, strengthens your faith, and expands your understanding. The pain may still be there, but it no longer controls you. It becomes part of your story, not the end of it. Patience also protects your heart from despair. It reminds you that no hardship lasts forever. It teaches you that relief is already on its way, even if you cannot yet see it. Allah promises that after hardship comes ease, and that promise alone is enough to steady the heart. A patient soul does not collapse in darkness because it trusts the coming light. That trust becomes its anchor. As patience grows, healing deepens. The heart becomes less wounded by the world and more rooted in Allah. You stop breaking under pressure and start rising through it. You stop asking when the pain will end and start recognizing how much you have grown. That growth is the proof that healing has begun. Hardship shapes you, but patience defines what that shape becomes. It can make you bitter or it can make you better. It can close your heart or it can open it. It can destroy your hope or it can strengthen your faith. The choice of patience changes everything. With patience, the heart no longer fears pain because it understands its purpose. It no longer resents trials because it recognizes their reward. It no longer collapses under difficulty because it has learned how to stand with Allah. That standing is the foundation of all healing. Every patient moment plants a seed inside your soul. Over time, those seeds grow into strength, wisdom, calm, and faith. One day you look back and realize that the hardship that once terrified you has become the reason you are stronger today. That is the miracle of patience. In the end, patience does not remove the hardship, but it removes the poison from the pain. It turns suffering into growth, struggle into strength, and hardship into healing. Trusting Allah frees you from inner conflict. Inner conflict is one of the heaviest burdens the heart can carry. It happens when the soul is pulled between fear and faith, between what the mind demands and what Allah has already written. This silent battle drains the heart, clouds the mind, and steals peace from the soul. But the moment you truly place your trust in Allah, that conflict begins to dissolve. Trust is not simply saying you believe. It is allowing that belief to govern your reactions, your expectations, and your emotions. When you trust Allah, you stop fighting reality. You stop questioning every turn. You stop blaming yourself for not controlling what was never yours to control. That release is powerful. It returns stability to the heart and clarity to the mind. You realize that your life is not random, your pain is not pointless, and your struggles are not unnoticed. Allah is managing every detail with wisdom, even when you cannot yet understand it. This realization quiets the inner storm and replaces it with calm acceptance. So many people live with constant anxiety because they try to hold their future in their own hands. They replay mistakes, fear losses, and obsess over outcomes. This mental pressure creates exhaustion that no rest can cure. But when you trust Allah, you return that weight to its rightful owner. You acknowledge that the one who created your heart knows how to care for it better than you ever could. This surrender does not make you passive, it makes you balanced. You still strive, but you no longer panic. You still plan, but you no longer collapse when plans change. You still feel emotion, but you are no longer imprisoned by it. The heart becomes stable, anchored in faith instead of tossed by uncertainty. That is freedom from inner conflict. Trusting Allah also frees you from the endless argument between your desires and your destiny. Many hearts suffer because they want life to unfold one way while Allah is guiding it another. Resistance grows, confusion deepens, pain intensifies. But when the heart says, I trust your wisdom, Ya Allah, the argument ends. The heart aligns with what is rather than fighting what is not. This alignment is healing. It removes the tension that has been quietly breaking you. You no longer feel divided inside. You begin to move as one whole soul in the direction Allah has chosen. That unity within the heart creates peace that nothing external can disturb. Another source of inner conflict is comparison. When you measure your life against others, you begin to question Allah's choices for you. Why them and not me? Why now and not then? Why this and not that? These thoughts tear the heart apart, but trust repairs it. When you trust Allah, you accept that your path is uniquely designed for you. What is written for you will never miss you. What is not written for you will never reach you. This understanding frees you from jealousy, resentment, and regret. The heart becomes content with its own journey. That contentment is powerful medicine for inner conflict. Trusting Allah also releases you from the fear of the unknown. So much of inner turmoil comes from imagining what might happen tomorrow, but tomorrow belongs to Allah. When you hand it back to Him, your mind stops racing. You stop creating disasters that may never arrive. You begin living where you are instead of constantly running into the future with worry. That return to the present is deeply calming. The heart finally feels grounded. When trust becomes your foundation, even your mistakes lose their power over you. You stop drowning in guilt and start moving toward repentance and growth. You realize that Allah is more merciful than your regrets. That knowledge heals the parts of your heart that shame once controlled. The conflict between who you were and who you are becoming begins to fade. You walk forward with hope. Trust also dissolves the fear of loss. When you know that Allah is the giver and the taker, you stop clinging to people and things in unhealthy ways. You love without fear. You give without anxiety. You hold lightly, knowing that whatever remains with you is a gift, and whatever leaves was never truly yours. This understanding brings enormous peace. As trust deepens, your heart becomes more resilient. Problems no longer shake you as they once did. You face trials with patience instead of panic. You respond to pain with faith instead of despair. The inner conflict that once exhausted you slowly fades. In its place, a steady calm begins to grow. You become aware that Allah has been guiding you all along. Even in moments you thought you were lost, you were being led. This awareness strengthens your heart and settles your mind. You stop fighting life and start flowing with it. That flow is where peace lives. With trust, the heart no longer feels abandoned. It feels protected. It no longer feels alone. It feels accompanied. It no longer feels confused. It feels directed. This transformation is the freedom that trust brings. And when the heart is finally free from inner conflict, it rests, it breathes, it lives, it walks with Allah without fear, without argument, without resistance. That is the peace every soul longs for. When you accept what is, your soul finds rest. There is a deep exhaustion that settles into the soul when it spends too long fighting reality. Many people are not tired from the work of life, but from the war inside their own hearts against what already is. They argue with the past, they resent the present, and they fear the future. This inner struggle slowly drains their spirit, but the moment the heart embraces acceptance, something remarkable happens. The soul begins to rest. Acceptance does not mean the pain disappears. It means the pain no longer controls you. It means you stop feeding the wound with resistance and start soothing it with trust. Allah did not design your soul to live in constant opposition to His decree. He designed it to find peace within it. When you accept what is, you align yourself with divine wisdom. That alignment quiets the mind, softens the heart, and creates a calm that no external change could ever provide. So many hearts suffer because they are attached to how life should have been instead of how it is. They replay old moments, old mistakes, old dreams that never came true, believing that happiness lives in another version of reality. But Allah invites your soul into this moment, the only place where life actually unfolds. Acceptance brings you back home. It teaches your heart to release what cannot be changed and invest in what still can. The soul begins to breathe again. You stop carrying the weight of yesterday and the worry of tomorrow. You begin to live with Allah in today. That presence is healing. That presence is rest. Acceptance also frees the heart from endless expectations. When you expect life to always be smooth, people to always be kind, and outcomes to always follow your plans, disappointment becomes your constant companion. But when you accept that life includes hardship, loss, delay, and uncertainty, your heart becomes more resilient. You are no longer shocked by difficulty, you meet it with patience. And in that patience, your soul grows stronger, calmer, and steadier. The storms still come, but they no longer uproot you. There are wounds inside the heart that only acceptance can heal. These are the wounds of why me, if only, and what if. They keep the soul restless, searching for answers it may never receive. Acceptance does not erase the questions, but it allows the heart to live even without the answers. That is a profound form of peace. It teaches the soul to trust Allah even when it does not understand Him. And that trust becomes the bed on which the soul finally rests. When you accept what is, you stop punishing yourself for what you could not control. You forgive your past. You make peace with your journey. You stop comparing your life to others. You recognize that your path is uniquely written for you. This realization removes a heavy burden from the heart. You no longer race against time. You walk with it. You no longer chase perfection. You pursue growth. And with each step, the soul becomes lighter. Acceptance also deepens your connection with Allah. When you stop resisting His decree, you begin to see His hand in everything. Even the pain starts carrying purpose. Even the loss begins to hold meaning. Even the delays reveal protection. That awareness transforms your relationship with hardship. You no longer feel cursed by it. You feel guided through it. And in that guidance, the soul rests. The soul finds rest when it no longer demands that life be different before it allows itself peace. So many people postpone their happiness, telling themselves they will be calm once the problem is solved. But acceptance teaches that peace is not the result of perfect conditions. It is the fruit of trust. The heart becomes calm, not because everything is fixed, but because it is held by Allah. With acceptance, the heart stops racing and starts flowing. It stops resisting and starts surrendering. It stops fearing and starts trusting. These shifts may feel subtle, but their impact is immense. The soul becomes anchored, it becomes stable, it becomes content. As acceptance grows, even the body feels lighter, tension releases, breath deepens, sleep becomes sweeter, the constant noise of the mind quiets, the soul finally feels safe inside Allah's care. That safety is what allows true rest. Acceptance also teaches gratitude. When you stop fighting reality, you begin noticing the blessings that were hidden by resistance. You see how much Allah has already given you. And gratitude, like acceptance, brings peace. Together they rebuild the soul. There is a sacred beauty in a heart that has learned to accept. It no longer seeks control. It no longer fears change. It no longer clings to outcomes. It trusts Allah and walks gently through life. That gentleness is strength. When the soul accepts what is, it stops trying to escape life and starts living it. It stops waiting for tomorrow and starts embracing today. It stops fearing the unknown and starts trusting the one who knows. In that trust, the soul rests. In that rest, the soul heals. And in that healing, the soul becomes whole again. My dear brothers and sisters, life was never meant to be fought. It was meant to be trusted. When you stop resisting what Allah has written and begin to walk with acceptance, your heart finds a calm that no struggle could ever give you. Acceptance does not erase the pain, but it transforms it into wisdom, patience, and growth. Every hardship carries a lesson. Every delay holds protection. Every closed door is guiding you towards something better. When you believe this with your heart, fear loses its power over you and peace finally takes its place. So release the burden of control. Place your trust in Allah. Let your heart rest in His wisdom. Because when you stop resisting life and surrender to the one who controls it, peace appears not because life became easier, but because your soul became stronger.